lawsuit. Welcome, friends and future colleagues, to a new and reinvented Law Guys. You have come to the most interesting legal platform for talk shows and more. We give you candid talks with people who you look up to. I'm Muskan Narang, your host for today. I'm a second-year law student from DY Patil University. And we have with us today Advocate Aastha Chadha ma'am. She is a third-generation lawyer with an excellent and in-depth experience of working in various chambers, law firms in and around Delhi. She deals in various legal matters and is currently impaneled in leading companies and institutions. I am so glad to have you on my show, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I would like to tell my viewers here that we connected a long time back on LinkedIn, and ma'am was so kind enough to reply to me and actually come on the show today.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for inviting.
thank you so much, ma'am. So, ma'am, I usually start with the question that why did you decide to choose law, and why was law something that attracted you?
Okay. So why did I decide to choose law? It was nowhere planned. It was nowhere planned. I belong to a family of lawyers where even if we are not practicing lawyers, we have law degrees at hand.
Okay.
Right. Even if you're practicing CAs or marketing or anything, law degree is there with everybody. But because of the same reason, nobody wanted me to do law.
Okay.
My grandfather was a practicing lawyer in UP, right, Meerut. He was a very famous lawyer there. But all of my family thought that law is not a profession. You know, there's a lot of stress and the court environment is not suitable for the in the way that they were bringing us up. I joined BCom and I did CA.
Okay.
But the thing that happened was we have law as a subject in both BCom and CA. And I feel more and more in love with the subject.
Right.
Right. So it was like the entire commerce was on one side and my love for law was on the other.
Right.
Then after, I think in the second year or something, I told my family, this is not happening. Second year of BCom. I told them, this is not happening. If you want me to complete my CA, I will complete it, but I am doing law. And at that time, 3-year law was hardly, I think it was disappearing slowly.
Okay.
But then normal 5-year law was the thing.
Right. Right.
And finally, I fought and I was like on a rebellion altogether. I told them I am doing law and that is what I want to do. Finally, I know what I love.
Right.
So that is how me being from the family of lawyers went to do law. And when I started preparing for judiciary, there are a lot of subjects that I studied that I didn't even study in law school.
Okay. Right.
And I started studying deeply. You know, you have to crack judiciary, you have to go in the depth of the subject.
Right.
There, my just love, I think, for law increased manyfold, exponentially. That is where it started growing. When I went into the depths of it. Because in law school, you know, we don't study. We just study for the passing exams. First year of law college, I had joined a publishing house as their freelancing editor. Okay. Because, you know, writing skills are something which a lawyer needs.
Right.
So I thought I'll get published also. And I'll improve on my writing skills also. So I joined them as an editor, and then I wrote a few of their English books and edited their books. So I was managing that, and I was going for my judiciary coaching, and I was rushing back to college. So it was nowhere a breeze for me. It was nowhere something. No, it was nowhere a vacation. Rather, I remember people telling me, we are not seeing you enough. I was like, I have a career to make.
Right.
I was very clear. My best friend till date tells me that you owe me those years where you have not talked to me properly and now telling me that.
Right.
And
Wow.
poor fellow still has that problem. I still don't give him enough time.
So how did you exactly spend time in college? How were you as a law student?
I think I was very studious. And I'm not somebody who studies for the exam.
Okay.
if you study for the exam, then it's all about being the topper.
Right.
For me, it was never about being the topper. For me, it was always about knowing the subject inside out.
So, but ma'am, what time did you get fascinated by family law or some subject that you really like, that you really wanted to pursue it? And also that
Okay,
why family law and why things like succession act or matrimonial disputes?
I'll tell you why. First of all, when I got attracted, I think even before starting law college, you know, that time when you're preparing for your entrance exams and you read for the CLAT and everything, and you read books. So
Right.
one thing that attracted me a lot was the adultery law.
Hmm.
Right. The adultery law was something which caught my attention even before I managed to enter the law school.
Hmm.
And in that, I remember writing a small note.
Hmm.
I was reading about it and it fascinated me. And I had written a few things. I had written things like, it's an offense by a man against a man.
Hmm.
It's an offense where a woman has no autonomy over herself. So I had a few problems with the law.
Hmm.
And I remember, and I had written about it and I wanted to publish it.
Hmm.
And my father said, one, you're too young. And two, I want you to prepare for judiciary, so I don't want you to sound like a biased judge.
Okay. Right.
Right. I want you to have an opinion which is like well informed and everything.
Hmm.
And but when the Supreme Court judgment came, though a few points that I had written down were there in the judgment, observations of the court. And that day I remember fighting with my father for 2 days that if I would have published it,
Right. Wow.
then it would have
Exactly.
been resonated with the judge. So
Right.
it's right. So it started there.
Hmm.
And then in first year itself, because I had started preparing for judiciary, so although LLB matrimonial laws were there in the second year, I had read it in the first year.
Okay.
And what resonated, I think, with me was the human emotions
Hmm.
involved with it. You know, when you see civil law or when you see any property, TPA, SRA, there it is something which doesn't have human touch in it.
Right.
There are no emotions. There is it's like inanimate objects.
Right. Right. Hmm.
And especially when you go to something like international law or administrative law,
Hmm.
especially administrative law, transfer of property act,
Hmm.
I never felt that connect.
Right. Exactly. Hmm.
I've
That
always been
story that comes
somebody.
behind something, that story or something that holds it together is what humans are.
Yes, exactly. So that is why these acts have always fascinated me
Right.
because
Hmm.
you know that was when I was a student, when I had only books to refer to. But
Hmm.
even now, when I sit with clients
Hmm.
and the way I converse with them, someday they'll come to you, they'll be in a completely different mood
Hmm.
because they are just recently they are separated and they are emotions.
Right.
Then
Hmm.
there'll be days when those clients will be extremely calm, and then there'll be days when they'll be jubilant. So that I think that human connect is something that attracted me towards that law. And I think one more thing that attracted me is that since childhood I've been a feminist.
Right.
Women rights are something I have been talking about since I think the term feminism was not there in India. It
Right.
was not a mainstream word when I was 10 years old or 12 years old. But
Hmm.
I somewhere realized that there was, I think as a child also, I somewhere realized that there was something wrong.
Hmm. Right.
I just didn't know as a child what was wrong.
Wow. Okay. Yourself and think about what you're saying and how it is going to affect you and the other person and their psyche. That actually makes you a true feminist, because then even as a feminist, I myself, if I stop myself from doing something or saying something, or like maybe some female, somebody else is saying something and I'm stopping her from doing something, and then I think about it, that why am I stopping her, why am I forming this opinion? When you stop yourself, you think about your thoughts and how you're putting them out in the world. That is what makes you a real feminist, I
I
think.
think what absolutely true, and I think what makes you a real feminist is also to keep on evolving your idea of feminism.
Right, right.
Yeah, because I love what I'm doing. Maybe that is because there's no burnout.
Okay. Ma'am, when we talk about the work environment and we talk about how a lawyer deals with another lawyer, like how is the lawyer community as per your experience? How have been they dealing with you, or do you deal with them?
So I think I have for till now, in so many years, the little few years of experience that I have,
Mm-hmm.
I think we are a very close knit community.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen a community which is so close knit.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times when I was a junior lawyer, I was working under somebody. So at that time, you are doing the filing also, you are carrying the files also, you are arguing also. That time is a very tough time
Mm-hmm.
because so the one day I remember I had gone for some work and I had some paperwork in my hand and I had to have, I wanted stamps and I wanted tickets and I wanted small little things. And I remember somebody just, I started asking people
Mm-hmm.
and somebody just gave me something and I told them, this is the amount, very, very, I told the person, please take the money. He was
Right.
like, no, it's okay. And he was somebody senior, okay? I was like, sir, please, please. He was like, no, it's okay. So I was like, no, sir, please, sir, please, sir, please, sir. Because, in the first year, you want to do everything right. You have
Right.
your, so
Right.
then one thing he told me, which I stand by till date, he
Mm-hmm.
told me, today you needed it. I gave it to you. Do one thing. Don't return it to me. When somebody else
Oh,
needs it, just help that person, help that lawyer.
right.
And he told me one more thing. He told me, beta, that is the way our community works.
Okay.
अगर हम lawyers एक दूसरे की help नहीं करेंगे,
Mhm.
तो कौन करेगा?
Right. Wow.
It's something, I think it's a very close-knit community with each other. Of course, we have times when you are fresh in the field and then there'll be a senior advocate who's standing, who will be the opposite counsel,
Mm-hmm.
and that senior advocate will have ego issues and will want to put you down, and you have to argue to your best because you have to prove it to the judge that I'm not, just because I'm dumb doesn't mean I'm not worth it.
Right.
So yeah, you will have egos. You will
Right.
have people who would snub you just because you are young,
Mm-hmm.
not because you're less experienced or less knowledgeable. So that is a problem. That is
Okay.
also a problem that we have in a community,
Mhm.
that sometimes senior counsels try to snub you in court,
Right.
in front of the judge,
Mm-hmm.
just because, not because you have a weaker argument, but because you're a counsel who is young.
Right, right. Ma'am, I think something I found really surprising one day when I went to Dwarka court. I was there for some internship, and there was a hall of people where the lawyers were together and they were discussing something. And I entered the room and I was surprised to see there was not one female lawyer there in the whole hall. I saw all
That
male
was my
lawyers
third
there.
point.
Sorry.
That was my third point. That was my exactly my third point. That
Mhm.
one more thing I do not like about people, which is I think not something which is exclusive to the lawyer community.
Right,
It is world. It's
right.
worldwide,
Mhm.
and that it is, and especially advocacy is predominantly a male-dominated area.
Right, right.
Once it happened with me, I was in the Delhi High Court and I was in the elevator. And in the elevator, there were around five male advocates, and I was the sixth one, right?
Okay.
And one, I think there were two people, I think around 60 years. They
Okay.
were quite aged. They were around 60 years old, and there were two or three young lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
And very casually, an old lawyer asked the young one, "Why do you keep a beard?"
Okay.
उन्होंने बड़े प्यार से उससे पूछ लिया कि बेटा क्या तुम लोगों ने आजकल दाढ़ी रखना शुरू कर दिया तुम लड़कों ने.
Mm-hmm.
So what that young person replied, the advocate, he replied that, sir, client को ना अगर हम दाढ़ी रखने से हम थोड़े बड़े लगते हैं, तो client को ऐसा लगता है कि हम थोड़े experienced हैं.
Mm-hmm.
Which is okay if you for him to say, which still then it was completely fine.
Right, right.
So then the senior asked that, what about ladies? अब वो तो दाढ़ी रख के नहीं बड़ी रख सकती ना.
Right.
That is what he meant. So what about them? You know what the young person replied, and I think he had the audacity to say it. And that was, sir, उनको वकालत से थोड़ी मतलब है. उनको तो सुंदर दिखना है, उनको तो सुंदर दिखना है, and उनको थोड़ी मतलब है, उनको कोई ढंग से वकालत थोड़ी करनी होती है. So yes, this, and I just saw the senior getting embarrassed and looking at me.
Right.
Senior realized, jabki we think that the young generation is woke, right? So the senior, that 60-year-old man realized what just happened.
Right.
And then I had that moment, you know, you can have two things at that moment. There are two reactions. One is just tell him what he just did.
Right.
And just give him that look that someday you'll face me in court and then you'll see who's the better lawyer.
Right.
I chose the later one. You know, I chose the latter one. I was like, I gave him that look that what you've done, dude, I just saw that.
Right.
I heard. And someday we'll be there in court. And then you'll see what just happens.
Exactly. There can be no better answer to that, ma'am. There can be no better answer.
Especially in a professional place, you know. And secondly, I had my item number. My item number was really close. I
couldn't bother less.
But I remember that senior getting highly embarrassed.
Right. Right.
And
ma'am, also you talked about social media. Because a lot of people who are thinking, as I've discussed with my seniors here, that they tell me that social media actually doesn't help you convert clients. Like, it doesn't help you convert people to clients. If you are really on social media as a lawyer, it doesn't help you. Obviously, you're not supposed to be showing ads. Obviously, you're not supposed to be, advertising your practice. But just that being online, showing people your face, it just like the term says, "Jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai." So that how, if you have observed in your social media presence right now, that actually converting people to client, is that possible?
Okay, so I'll start with why I joined social media. First of all, I didn't join thinking I'll get clients. I didn't join thinking that I'll be visible. I just joined because I had nothing else to do. And I was saving those 4 hours of travel and I had to do something with those 4 hours. Social media interaction makes me grow as a lawyer.
Okay.
Where I give them whatever I know. Like, so I love disseminating knowledge. I do that. But then the questions they ask me are very good for me, are very good for my growth.
Right.
I love that about the social media interaction. And then comes about the jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai.
Right.
I know one thing, that as lawyers, हमें cases बहुत limited जगहों से आते हैं. सबसे पहले हमें जगहों से आते हैं अपनी खुद की family से.
Right.
वो cases होते हैं जिसमें आपको पता है पहला वो आता है बेटा थोड़ी फीस का देख लेना वाला.
हाँ, right.
उसके बाद आता है आपको आपके फ्रेंड सर्कल से या नोन लोगों से. और उसके बाद आपको आता है रेफरल से. कि आपने अपने एक हैप्पी क्लाइंट विल रेफर यू टू मल्टीपल पीपल.
राइट.
तो अब ये सब तो हो गया. सोशल मीडिया से आपका क्लाइंट कन्वर्जन क्या रेफरल जितना है? नहीं. रेफरल जो होता है ना, उसमें क्लाइंट आपके पास आपका फुल, जिसे कहते हैं ना, भरोसा करके आता है.
राइट.
बिकॉज द अदर पर्सन हैज टोल्ड दैट क्लाइंट कि अगर इसके पास जाओगे मैं बच गया. तो आप भी बच सकते हो या आप बच जाओगे. हम बोलते हैं आप बच सकते हो. द क्लाइंट हैज ऑलरेडी टोल्ड कि आप तो बच जाओगे.
राइट.
वकील साहब के पास जाओगे आप बचोगे. सो it is not as strong as referral. But then there are people who are seeing you. There are people who are noticing you. And there are people who for some extent start idolizing you. तो आपको क्लाइंट तो मिलता है. देखो, आई हैव गॉट क्लाइंट्स, सो आई कैन से ऐसा नहीं है क्लाइंट्स नहीं. दैट वाज नॉट माय पर्पस ऑफ जॉइनिंग. आते हैं आपके पास, आते हैं. Are they as strong as referrals? No.
No.
आपका सोशल मीडिया क्लाइंट कैसा है? ये वैसा क्लाइंट है जिसने आपको लाइव कोर्ट में, जैसे कुछ क्लाइंट्स होते हैं ना, आप कोर्ट में आर्ग्यू कर रहे होते हो, वहां कोई बैठा सुन रहा होता है और फिर वो बाहर, आप कोर्ट के बाहर बोलता है, वकील साहब मेरा केस ले लो, अपना कार्ड दे दो।
हाँ जी।
ये क्लाइंट वैसा है।
अच्छा,
ये क्लाइंट वो वाला क्लाइंट है जिसने आपको लाइव परफॉर्म करते देखा है।
अच्छा, राइट।
This is that client. This is my field.
Right. Also, ma'am,
But
out of the lot of people who are practicing, when you see only like, let's say 10 lawyers online and they're talking to the people, they're actually directly connecting with the people, I think it is a lot of market. Because you see, you might know a lot of lawyers, you might know like 100 of lawyers, you can go to any court and you can find them there. It's just that those 10 lawyers who are actually being in front of the audience, they're telling them, they're addressing their issues that they might have. Or maybe if you're talking about like, let's say matrimonial issues, then maybe if I have somebody in my family who is facing the same problem or something related to that, I would obviously like your name or your image will click in my mind and I'll suddenly refer them to you, that okay, this person is very easy to contact and that is why I'm giving. So I think social media, it has made a huge market there, but obviously there is a thing that we call the click-through rate is very low, that whatever the amount of people who are actually going to come and give you money and say mera case kar do, those are going to be very less.
yes.
My last question for you today will be that how do you deal with clients, and what is your personal way of how you deal with clients and how you conduct yourself in front of them?
I think the best way to deal with the client is, in your head, you are thinking like a third person, third party approach, aerial view. And in front of the client, you are as emotionally available, emotionally attached as possible. Especially when matters are there where the person's household is at risk or where the person's life is at risk. Matrimonial and criminal matters. These two matters, I think, require the client to trust you. And trust can only come if you are all ears.
Right.
The first thing I think you need is patience. I treat my clients with utmost patience and I think with utmost respect, because I understand that normally the thing is we are always short of time. Always we are short of time and we have something or the other to attend to. Right. But when I'm with the client, that half an hour, that 1 hour, sometimes even 1.5 hours, I am with the client. I do not see my phone. I do not do anything else. I am totally with the client, totally attached, and I totally understand. That is one way. Think like give a third person's perspective in your head. Right. But for the client, it should feel as if you are their family. Right. So they start opening up. And when they start emotionally opening up, then they actually tell you what the true story is. Because in the first instant, they're all guarded. You have to enter there, you have to break their wall of defense. Right. And you as a lawyer have to enter the client's heart. Sometimes, you know what you have to do? You have to do the same thing that the opposite counsel will do in the cross-examination, break the client. Okay. But that person will do it with words. You have to do it with emotions. Right. You have to make the client realize. There are some times when the client will tell you only his or her side of the version, version of the story. They will tell you so-and-so person did this, so-and-so person did that, he did this, she did that. And you will get a story which you know is not right. Okay. You know there is no stimuli. How is this reaction coming? You understand it's a one-sided story. It's not a concocted story. It's a one-sided story. Then you have to make the client understand that I am not the court. You don't have to lie in front of me. Right. Give me the entire story. That is, I think, the toughest part of handling the client, making the client open up about what he or she did. Because the problem is, we as humans have a tendency of forgetting our faults. Right. We don't do that intentionally. It is a defense mechanism. Right. We feel like if I say something to you and you respond, I would say react. You react.
Right.
I will always feel that she reacted.
Mm-hmm.
I will forget I said something.
Right.
And I'm not hiding this from my advocate.
Mm-hmm.
I have believed it in my mind that I didn't say anything to the other person.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I think breaking down the wall of defense of the client, sitting with the client, giving time to the client, and giving wholehearted, undivided attention to the client
Right.
is extremely important, because at the end we are charging for our time.
Mm-hmm.
How can we charge for our time and not give it in totality to the client?
Right.
So I think that is my first mantra. That if the client is sitting in front of me and even crying for half an hour straight,
Mm-hmm.
I will listen to that cries, because somewhere my ear is waiting for that two lines that are important to me.
Right. Okay.
The client will just say, if the client will keep on nagging, I am waiting for that only two lines. The rest I'm eliminating.
Right.
I am not listening. My brain is on the bird's eye view.
Okay.
The third. And secondly, sometimes what happens is, and that happens predominantly in matrimonial issues, it is your client will come to you that I want maybe a divorce. And then it will keep on changing. Then someday it will be like, I want a criminal case also. And then someday it will be like, I want this also. And someday it will be like that. And in the end, there can be days when the client will say, I don't want anything. I just want to get out of the relationship.
Right.
So you have to, and then you have to get ready for everything. So that wastes your time. See, this is what the client wants from me. And then I will filter. Is it what the client needs?
Right.
That is also something I do. Of course, the client will in the end get what the client asked for. And I can only counsel or I can only advise.
Right.
But I keep that also in mind while handling the client. I keep filtering. That is, and the one thing as I told you, that client for that 1 hour is all there. That's all the world exists for me.
Right.
That is my world at that moment. Nothing else. So I think that is my client handling. And one more thing I do is I don't lie to the client.
Right.
I do not lie to the client. I always tell the client that 90% is, of course, is our case. 10% is the discretion of the court.
Right.
I will never tell the client, ji, jita denge aapko, aap tension mat karo. That's what happens, right? I never do that.
Right.
If you want to do your own practice, you need to have two things. One is social skills.
Right.
Emotional skills, which we say, you have to have that emotional connect with the person. Otherwise, why should I trust you with my case?
Right.
It's my life that we are talking of.
Right.
You cannot trust anybody who doesn't understand and who I think is not understanding my case. Sometimes a lot of people think कि वकील साहब समझ ही नहीं रहे हमारी बात. That is what the polarity is. And secondly, you need to have business skills. Because running a private practice, I kid you not, is running a business.
Right.
Getting clients is our job. Getting handling operations is our job. I think if you want to have your own business practice, you have to have these skills: managerial skills and social skills.
Right.
I don't think without either of these, you can become an independent practitioner.
Right.
Law तो आपका सिर्फ एक किसे कहते हैं ना basic requirement.
Right.
बाकी काम बात होता है.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, ma'am, thank you so much for your time. I think I've taken a lot of your time here. Thank you so much for coming on the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Please, everybody, check out the Lawyers YouTube channel. You can check out ma'am's details in the description down below. And please subscribe to the channel and see you next time.